Adaptation. It may involve adult themes and strong language. This is The Curse of Penance RPG.
Welcome to episode 19 of The Curse of Penance RPG, the epilogue. And since there's no point in asking what happened last week, because we all know what happened last week, does anyone want to start their epilogue? Should I roll and see which one of you goes first?
Yeah, do a roll, because then it's fairer.
Let's do a roll then. So if it is...
Let's be honest, it's got to be odd for Belry and...
Yeah, if it's odd, it's Karen and Tubbs. If it's even, it's Rosie and Meg. And 3, 2, 1. It's even, so it's Meg and Rosie to start.
Of course, you go with it.
What happened after the dust settled? Meg.
Aw, thanks. So, Meg left Barovia with Ozmand, Rosie, and Diaval and travelled to Valini. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. After the long weeks of travelling Barovia, Meg's body needed some time to heal and recover from the burns that she suffered. After some discussion with her two companions, they decided to head towards Mudwitch near Lake Arla to rest and decide what they should do following. Meg feels now that they've left Barovia a lot better, but still has some nightmares, especially of Tubbs and his fireballs.
So it's
Meg
Fireball.
Meg continued to play the squeeze box with Oz and Rosie, visiting various towns as they headed north. And Valani was much better than Barovia. People were happier and the region was much more stable. It helped put her mind at ease from the horrors, at least for a little while. It also helped her create a number of songs based on the hellish and demonic love affair of Karen and Tubbs. But Meg tries not to dwell on Tubbs too much. He's managed to put her off halflings for life and necromancy.
What about necrocarpentry?
And yeah. Anything to do with necrocarpentry and necromancy.
Why do I feel like this is an information about Tubbs?
As the trio would head north, Rosie eventually would leave them, finding some of her old comrades. Meg misses Rosie, but she'll always have a free drink for her. Meg decides then that she'll head to Shalefast in the Drake Seat Mountains. The town isn't huge, but it's large enough and busy for Meg to settle into. Before long, the rogue has enough money to buy her own tavern, and eventually feels at home behind the bar, pulling pints and making a name for herself and her bird as she sings songs. Fantastic sweet box. The pub's a small success, and Meg finds she rather enjoys the company of dwarves, especially their gruff beards.
Ooh.
And so it closes on Meg. For now, she's happy just pulling pints behind the bar and singing the songs of the tales of how they survived Barovia. If by chance that Osmand or Rosie venture through her town, they are welcome at any time to the fantastic squeeze box for any amount of drinks, all free. Karen and Tubbs, however, will likely be hauled out and told to fuck off. And so ends Meg's tale for now.
Great. Polite clapping ensues. And Rosie.
Can we just take a minute to digest that? The fact that Meg's backstory is fuck Tubbs.
No, she didn't fuck Tubbs.
Well, no.
That might be Karen's backstory.
Or no.
That would be the fourth story, I guess.
Are we allowed to ask questions as we go, or do we have to wait till the
It
end?
was lovely.
wait till I've done all of them and then you can
Okay.
comment.
I'll write them down.
Rosie.
Our end, leaving Tubbs and Karen behind. Rosie joins Oz and Meg and head to Lake Ara to unwind at a spa. The three bathe and chill, Rosie very much enjoys this time. The three have much banter and ideas about their upcoming band tour. Rosie writes a song dedicated to Timothy, and another dedicated to Victor. AJ manages to repair his robot friend, which kind of annoys Meg and Rosie, but he's cool, I guess. The three embark on a band tour. Rosie sings, Meg squeezes her box, and AJ
You already had the kill on that Meg in her box.
Rosie enjoys band life as it mostly involves hanging around at taverns and drinking. Every time Rosie turns away from Meg for a minute, she's surrounded by men. They are totally turned on by her amazing squeeze box playing. Woohoo! After a good section of the tour, the band land in a familiar park. Familiar to Rosie, that is. That night, while packing away after their set, before she has even a chance to get nervous about bumping into anyone she knows, a hand lands on her shoulder. Rosie turned around and saw her brother Aaron, blonde like herself, tall unlike herself, and still donning his military garb. After a lengthy hug and a few tears from Rosie, they sat at the bar and discussed Rosie's desertion. That the man she was afraid of had been killed in action, that if she voluntarily came back, her punishment would be minimal. Rosie beamed as she loved army life, and she had only left because a certain man had made her life very difficult. They had ordered another round of drinks. Rosie sadly looked towards her bandmates and sighed heavily. In some ways, she couldn't imagine life without them. She couldn't imagine not seeing them every day. They'd been through so much together. It was hard leaving Karen and Tubbs behind. Now she'd become super besties with Meg and AJ.
I feel victimized.
No, I said it was sad leaving you. Over to the stage where AJ was still playing with his guitar and Meg was chilling with him and announced her news to her super besties. They all did a group hug friend style, you know, where they all walk in at the hug at the same time and say, you guys, Tubbs style. They had no choice but to spend their last night together getting absolutely trashed. There was 100% vomit rate that night. Rosie left her friends a heartfelt letter, each for AJ and for Meg, detailed on how much she would miss them and where her whereabouts would be from now on in case they ever needed her or wanted to visit her. And with that, Rosie rejoined the army. She did spend a couple of months peeling potatoes and other awful tasks without pay, but after that she got back to rank and soon enough lived happily ever after.
Yay!
And now, through the power of editing, we have Ozmand.
Okay, so here's my epilogue. As Osman rides in the back of the cart away from Barovia, he takes one last long look back at the dark land that he, Meg and Rosie have finally managed to escape. Strahd might be gone, but it still has a very ominous look about it, with the same black clouds stretching from horizon to horizon. At this moment, ahead of them, the sun finally begins to rise, bathing the trio in the first direct sunlight that they've seen in longer than they can remember. Glancing back again the way they had come, Ozmand is surprised and a little disturbed to find that Barovia is no longer visible. Instead, behind them the road stretches on into the distance, with no sign of the forbidding peaks among which they had just been travelling seconds before. They've truly left Barovia behind. Over the next few days, Ozmand feels the weight of the events in Barovia beginning to lift from his mind, and some glimmers of musical inspiration begin to stir for the first time in weeks. At this point, he rues destroying his guitar in the final fight against Strahd, but vows to get hold of another one as soon as he can. Coming to the small village of Mudwitch, on the shore of Lake Arla, the trio are happy to discover that the village is home to a natural hot spring, and spend some time recuperating from their injuries. While Meg still suffers from many of the burns which she received in Barovia, usually at the hands of Tubbs, Osman finds that as more time passes, his begin to heal, as his inborn tiefling traits seem to reassert themselves, after feeling strangely dulled over the preceding few months. After some time, the trio leave the comforts of the Mudwitch Spa and begin to travel the countryside, making good on their ambitions to form a band. Finally getting his hands on a new guitar, Osman finds that as with his tiefling traits, most of his arcane bardly abilities are returning to him once more as well. Many songs are written of their time in Barovia, and of their former companions Karen and Tubbs, not all of which are complimentary. After one of their concerts, Rosie leaves the band, returning to her military life, and Meg and Osman continue for some time as a duo, before Meg too decides to leave the road life behind her, settling down in a small dwarven mining town in the mountains. For a time, Osman travels on alone, continuing much as he did before, performing solo shows, now with his newly repaired automaton hype man, Piddlewick 2. Eventually, though, making his way north to the coastal capital city of Valane, but tiring of the constant pub gigs night after night, Osmand signs on with the Valana Explorers Guild as an adventurer and scout for hire. After working a few local jobs here and there, he's finally taken on by Professor Jorvin of the Valana University as security for an archaeological expedition, searching for an ancient tomb long lost to the forest.
Yay!
I know.
Yeah, I feel quite attacked.
Yeah, same.
I know we swing to the other side of the room.
Shall I start, Belry?
If you say, honey.
Thank you, sweetness.
So, Tubbs and Karen, what became of you?
Many people wonder what became of Tubbs and his brand new bride, Karen. And it all started as soon as the rest of the gang had left. He knew he'd miss his best friends, but he knew that they'd always remember him fondly, even though they'd had a few accidents along the way. And he especially thought that he knew he burned Meg quite a lot, but she assumed she'd get over it as they were such great pals.
70% of my body being burned? Really?
There's 30% left. So, we pick up Tubbs' tale as the new Duke and Duchess of Barovia, soon to be crowned. Look around to the Lich, and Tubbs says to the Lich, "So, Mr. Lich, let's make a deal."
So, what do you want?
Well, if I remember correctly, you do a pretty good line in immortality, is that correct?
If that is what you want.
So what we're saying is you could make someone immortal, say, so that they could never die and live like a full and happy life.
It could be that, if that is what you want.
Tubbs,
But what would I get in return?
he leans in, looks very serious, and said, "You can have my earthly soul. And in exchange, all I want is immortality for Archie. Bring her back, make her immortal, and the deal is done."
So, you want to give your soul for Archie?
Exactly, and Karen, darling, we're just making a deal with the Lich. Would you like anything?
Well, I was thinking about, how about you make me number one in all of Barovia to all of Barovia. Make me the eternal queen. Maybe like a bag of tobacco that never runs out. And just ensure a long and extended rule for myself, and I'll be more than happy to match Tubbs' offer.
You don't mean, Karen.
Yeah, I'll give you Tubbs' soul.
Right, deal.
No. What you are offering is in exchange for me to bring back your little friend and grant you some trinkets like this unending bag of tobacco and the moniker of best mother in all of Barovia. Is that all?
But people need to really, when someone's in a pub and they're like, "Oh, my mum's so great," you gotta be like, someone will always be like, "Nah, I've heard of this Karen Florentino Lebowski Groundswell lass. I hear she's actually the best mother in Barovia."
You want to be remembered as such.
Yeah, and it's gotta be good tobacco too, none cheap stuff.
And in exchange for all of that, all I get is a soul?
I mean, it's a pretty fucked up soul.
It's Tubbs' soul. So
You've never seen me dance, I got soul. And Tubbs does a little bit of a tap dance for her, for the Lich.
yeah, you never been much of a soldier though. Timely references.
I suppose I could do it. It feels like I'm being hard done by, but I guess if that's all you're going to offer, then it's fine. And
I mean, how about you can stay in the castle whenever you like as well? Free bed and board.
He draws a deal out of his pocket and offers it.
Tubbs is going to give it over to Karen to sign first.
Yeah, and Karen just immediately signs it.
And Tubbs signs as well, and thus the deed was done.
Thank you. Interesting.
We have a wedding to attend to.
Okay, and he sort of
Do you
does
attend to your
raise gesture, and Archie crawls out of the floor again.
Archie! Oh, I knew you'd be back. Yeah. I know.
Archie!
I know, and now you're immortal. So,
I'm thrilled. Welcome back.
Isn't it wonderful, Karen? It's like having our own child again. Only this one can't die like I presume Tyler has at the bottom of a ditch.
I'm sure Tyler's around somewhere. I'm sure he's just doing just fine. Or else I ain't the mother of all of Barovia.
I mean, I suppose you are now technically the best mother in all of Barovia, so he must be fine, I guess. So, thus the deed was done. The deal was struck, and Archie had reappeared in all her glory, and Tubbs was thrilled. After a short while of consistent nagging and begging, Karen finally got round to arranging the actual wedding. And it was a very short wedding, officiated in front of all of the people of Barovia, in which case, this was all the people who could attend, which was the two obligatory witnesses, one of whom was Archie, and the other one who was that guy who was in a mirror for a long time.
No, he ran away. He long since ran away.
Oh yeah, whoops. And a crudely drawn picture of the man who was once stuck in the mirror. And Karen and Tubbs became one. By her request, Karen became Queen Karen Florentino Lebowski Groundswell the First, and Tubbs, Mighty Tubbs, became Tubbs Florentino Lebowski Groundswell, Chief Butler to the Queen. That evening it came to a blessing the union, and Tubbs learned that Karen had a very, very strict belief that a married couple should wait at least a year minimum before consummating the marriage.
Did.
Yeah, it's very traditional, very religious, and we've got to make sure that it's not just in it for the goods, if you know what I mean.
And Tubbs understand. So, Tubbs volunteers to try and impress his new bride to take off in the search for Tyler. This meant that he was out of the house most days, most evenings, because Karen was pretty strict with him. And of course, obviously, when Tubbs was in the castles, he'd sleep downstairs in the servants' quarters, just so he didn't wake Karen when he came in.
Yeah, I've got to have my beauty sleep.
Exactly, and Tubbs would frequently help Karen by, taking breakfast up to her and her advisors, who would have lots of early morning meetings, usually without any clothes on in their marital bed. But it was just like a way of being comfortable, and so Tubbs was not suspicious at all of Karen's meetings with her aide.
Yeah, it's very hard in Barovia, and I don't have Prime, so I gotta wait for that fan to come.
Exactly. I know there's nothing going on between you and Steve Florentino, don't worry about it. So...
Yeah, he's just my advisor. One sec, I just gotta go get some advice. I'll catch you those.
Okay, bye dearest. So...
See you later.
It had been a number of weeks since Tubbs had seen Karen, due to their busy, conflicting schedules, with Karen always needing advice when Tubbs was around at night. It was strange how many meetings went late on tonight, but Karen was just a dedicated queen. And Tubbs arrived back, and he thought he'd check in on Archie. And so he asked the footman of the castle where Archie was, and he was informed that Archie was in the dungeons. So Tubbs went down towards the dungeon, opened the door, looked inside, and was shocked with what he saw. Archie was laid on a bed, with rose petals strewn from the floor all the way to it. There were candles everywhere. Tubbs walked into the room, only to hear an exclamation from behind him.
I knew you was going round behind my back.
Wait, no, Karen, it's not what it looks like, dearest. I mean, I don't know how this happened. I just came down here and I don't even know what those chains are for.
I told you he'd never consummate that marriage just because I wouldn't get in them means with him. And you wonder why I was spending so much time with my aide getting so much advice.
No matter how much Tubbs protested, the three witnesses that Karen had brought with her, including her aide, Steve Florentino, and the two professional portrait artists, made sure that Tubbs didn't have an avenue to hide behind. And so his life in the dungeon began. 3 long, miserable months of scratching numbers into the wall. After 3 months, the trial date was set, though, and you'll be happy to hear the trial lasted 8 minutes. Tub wasn't even invited to this trial, it was that straightforward. At that point, Karen came to him after the trial and let him know the result.
Tubbs, it is with a heavy heart.
What's wrong,
that I have
dearest?
to tell you. It is with a heavy heart, my dear husband, that you have been sentenced to exile.
But Karen, where would we live in exile if not in the castle? I mean, what would we do? How would we go on?
I mean, I need to stay here as mother of all of Barovia. I'm sure you understand,
Oh,
sweet husband.
oh, I see. Well, I suppose you can come visit me wherever I end up.
I'm sure. Just make sure you send me your address, and maybe I'll write to you.
I will. Can I have some parchment to take with me, please, my love?
No, it's fresh out.
I see. And do I have to go now?
Pretty much, yeah. We've got the horse and the sack already. Just put the sack over your head, okay?
Oh,
We'll get
like-
started.
Like that time that you came to... Oh, I see. I like this. And Tubbs puts the bag over his head. Weirdly, that time your hands felt vaguely masculine. Anyway, please continue.
Oh, yeah. So, with a great sadness in her heart, Karen led Tubbs to the exile horse and gave it a sharp slap on the rump where it trotted away into the night.
The horse rode for a number of days, and Tubbs found himself back on the mountains where the mountain goats had first lived. He was hungry, he was thirsty, and he was missing Karen dearly. He knew it must have been such a hard decision for her to exile him, and he wondered where his great friend Meg was. He thought about her often, about how great friends they were despite all the things they'd gone through, and Rosie and her kind face, and how he wished I was here now, and how, well, he wasn't quite sure why he missed Oz, but he missed Oz anyway. So on his trek up the mountain, hungry, tired Tubbs spotted from across a small gorge a small patch of grass, and on that patch of grass, a goat. Tubbs remembered dearly that the goats of Barovia were actually people in disguise, and so crossed perilously and introduced himself to the goat, saying, "Hello, Mr. Goat, my name is Tubbs. I guess just Groundswell now? I don't know if I get to keep that still, but I'd like you to take me on as your pupil and teach me the philosophies you have." And so for 5 long years, Tubbs was taught
5
the philosophies
years?
of the... Yep. Tubbs was taught the philosophies of the goat. He learned to eat like a goat. He learned to climb mountains like a goat. He learned, well, other things about being a goat too. After this time, one day his mentor just never returned, as he assumed this was the universe's time of saying, it's finally time to go home. So Tubbs made his way home, back to the village he first came from, to his necro-carpentered farm, which did need some dusting, but that's fine, he had some skeletons who could do that for him. He sat back in his chair, relaxed, and wondered why he even left in the first place. As he sat there wondering, he heard the noise of an angry mob outside, who had clearly learned that the necromancer had returned, and not 3 hours later, found himself on the road in a prison cart with 2 strange women and a
There's a whole
strange
other
man.
campaign going on here.
And thus sits Tubbs, sad in a prison cart, but stronger for the experience. I hope you all enjoyed Tubbs' backstory. I'm starting to think Karen was cheating on him.
No,
You think?
Tubbs.
You think?
You just go to prison.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
go
I
back to
mean,
prison, yeah.
maybe-
It's a prison car again.
Maybe the truck will get stopped on the way and somehow some crazy adventure will begin. I can't believe after all we've been through, Meg, just because I burned most of your body a number of times.
Yeah, she's not forgiving of that at all.
By accident.
Some of it was deliberate.
I don't know it was. Thanks, Rosie.
It was by accident, Meg. Forgive him.
He's traumatized me. I'm sorry. It's not. No, he's not allowed in my pub.
Just FYI, the first question I'm going to ask you is going to be what the songs you wrote about Karen and Tubbs were called. So prepare maybe a few lines.
Oh no.
So I wrote a couple
And,
down.
Why did you stay and
Oh,
become king and queen?
Because they were married. Yay!
It's weird. Isn't that evil? Are they staying evil doing that?
I have to ask them.
He's not allowed in my pub, I'm sorry. He's not coming
What's
back.
your pub called?
The alternate backstory was either Tubbs falls down a cliff while trying to emulate the mountain goat, or Tubbs hunts out Meg and Rosie and tries to be friends with them some more.
And while you stayed and be evil with the Lich.
No, Tubbs is a bad person, but he's not evil. Oh, Tubbs is a terrible person. If we'd learn one thing this campaign, it's Tubbs is a bad person. Like,
anticlimactic when you're like, yeah, we're staying with the Lich, and we're like, oh shit, okay.
The rest of us
to
are
be
like,
fair,
nope.
Oh,
That
there's
was
Karen back. Say something, Karen.
say something, I'm giving up on you.
Hello. I have returned
Hooray.
after Discord has done a bunch of updates.
I believe Karen has some backstory from after Tubbs was exiled.
So what was
Oh.
the end of the tale for Karen then?
Yes, so Karen, obviously deeply saddened by the fate of her admittedly fairly recent husband, sought comfort in the only person she could find, even Florentino, her advisor, and soon became Karen Florentino, Lebowski, Groundswell, Florentino, and
Did you know, here's an interesting fact, a single human male produces enough sperm in 2 weeks to impregnate every fertile woman on the planet. There you go.
did you know?
But then again, that'd be just if you throw one at a time.
Well, yeah,
It's highly
obviously.
unlikely to actually impregnate any of them.
Yeah.
My favourite sperm fact is that the world's largest sperm belongs to the fruit fly, and it is in fact along a fruit fly's body.
In fairness, Drosophila are not very big.
Yeah.
Yeah, but their sperm is bigger than it. It's all coiled up in there to fit.
So, anyway, continuing Karen's story.
Yes, and under her new advisement, or so it seemed, she became more and more tyrannical, ruling over the citizens harder with more taxes, tobacco ration, and making sure that all mothers swore feet as inferior mothers. She will probably be assassinated at some point, but it hasn't happened yet. And so until then, she remains Barovia's true mother.
There's a cart of prisoners on the way that might collapse and find themselves in Barovia, about to throw down the oppressive leader.
And in whispers, all the villagers speak of the devil woman in charge.
Yeah. Someone's gonna make some weird kind of like weird Florentino Frankenstein.
That's just Karen.
Like a sort of...
The
no,
hands of
like
Jim
a-
Florentino. The lips of Steve
Yeah, like
Florentino.
a weird hive mind of all of the Florentinos.
Florentino hive mind, hungry.
Rites, so...
Need chorizo. So, we will tie AG's story in at some point here, because I'll get him to record and just
Do you want us to do some like classic laugh reactions for AJ? Like, oh, classic Oz. Oh man, squeeze boxes are so great, AJ. You're so wrong. Wait, what? Oz was a tiefling? Yeah, I forgot that half the campaign. I don't know if anyone else did.
No.
I frequently forgot that Oz was a tiefling.
Good.
I don't really know how, but okay.
Because we don't make many references to
okay.
horns. Was everyone else human?
I was human, yeah.
I think
Rosie's
everyone else is human,
technically-
yeah, apart from you who were halfling.
Yeah.
No, I was like a quarter null actually, wasn't I?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
And
were.
the only person that wasn't going to be human was Karina, who's going to be a dwarf. So,
I feel like, you know, like Mum in Futurama and all the robots.
yes.
Ooh.
That's basically what
Yeah.
Karen is.
Yep.
Just with more tyranny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are two characters I need to epilogue because their end of their story has not been told.
Ooh.
One
Go on
then.
is Fergus.
Woo! Go Fergus.
Who do you think Fergus is?
It's
So what-
Fergie.
He was the dragon guy. So was he something to do with like the good side of the Zarevich family?
No.
Fergus was the son of the Great Black Dragon.
I forget dragon can be people.
Yeah.
Not our dragon. Our dragon's
And
obviously people.
he was the only character who was blatantly not lying to you, but
did not tell you the truth.
He
the whole
basically
truth,
told
did
you the
they?
truth from his side without actually lying to you because you didn't question him. So he was like, yeah, just do this and then I'll give you this. Oh, okay, no problem. And he's just like, great, I don't need to explain it. Fantastic.
To be fair, his story was pretty convincing though, so that's just good writing on your part.
His story is he just disappears. He was going to potentially be involved if you didn't take Barovia at the end, and the Lich was going to offer it back to him. And
Maybe he'll overthrow Karen one day.
The other one is the Toy Maker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know
He told me
what do you
he told
think
me
happened to the
it's
Toy
one.
Maker?
Did he continue to make toys and live happily ever after?
No.
Well, no, because you know from the trial episode that there was the orangutan.
The orangutan incident with Is it killed Piccolo?
Yeah, so I assumed he had died because everyone who we liked in that town had died.
No, he escaped, and
Oh.
he was the one moving around in the Abbey when you went back after the second time that you thought was Tammy.
So it wasn't Tammy.
No, it was the Toy Maker.
He took all the books apart.
No,
No,
it
that
wasn't.
had been
the second
Tammy.
time.
It had been Tammy
Yeah.
that did it, but what happened is Strahd had appeared, taken Tammy away, and then before the Baron boarded up, the Toy Maker had got in to seek refuge because he
hiding
was
out.
just escaping anywhere, and he'd been boarded in.
And you threw up and he had to clean it.
Oh, bless him, poor hero. I mean, that's. Is it our fault we were too good at stealth that we didn't come across her with our mate?
You did, in fairness, think it was Tammy, but there was things like there was doors left open.
Yeah.
There was little hints that it wasn't Tammy that was there, but
Do you remember our amazing pan shop? Like, we've got a package for you, and then just fuck it, let's just break it. Let's walk in back. We've got a package for you. Oh, she's not here. Fuck it. Let's just go.
We'd left the
We
dream
own-
pastry as well.
We did.
yep,
Yeah.
Was that actually a dream pastry in it or not? Or was it just gravel? I
it
can't
was a
remember.
Dream's pastry, yeah.
The bell tolls. The end is nigh. This podcast is an adaptation of Curse of Strahd, a 5th edition D&D adventure. It was adapted from the original story by Nikoli Pupsky. The podcast features Nikolai, Amy, Belry, AJ, Lexa, and Matt. All music was written and performed by Boström. Artwork was by John Moore.